Welcome to another episode of HomeGrown, the series. I'm your host, Emmanuel Davis. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Elise Swopes, graphic designer and photographer. Swopes, welcome to HomeGrown, the series.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm excited too. And I was really
Yeah.
excited. The first time I was introduced to you was on Hypebeast TV. You did a
Oof.
shoot here in Chicago and then one in Switzerland. Do you
Oh,
remember
yeah.
that?
Yes, of course I remember that. Switzerland was nuts.
But it kind of challenged you because I know in Chicago we have a bunch of cityscapes and you
Mm-hmm.
incorporate wildlife and nature into that. But when you went to Switzerland, you said you didn't have to do much to the pictures because they already were magnificent.
Yeah. They already had the mountains and the water and all the, animals and things that I really was adding to my pictures in Chicago. But I honestly that trip was pretty it was pretty serious for me because it was one of the first trips where I was kind of like coming back from being somewhat like in a depression and really like in this I don't know, I was having like quite a shift in my mentality of like awareness and taking care of myself and self-care. Like I felt like I was a kid before that trip. And then when I came back from that trip, I was like, damn, I really need to like grow up.
Mm,
And it's crazy because like I don't know if people see that, but like when I see videos of that, when I think about that, like and not in a negative way, but it's just like I've grown so much since then and have I just handle things so much differently since then that it's just like unbelievable to even think about the way that I felt, the things that I
mhm.
experienced. And like if I was up to me, I would have shot a lot more photos. I would have like explored a lot more. I was
Yeah,
just so like questionable about like, what should I shoot? What's my style? What's this? It was like I almost like limited myself out of fear of like the expectations of what people thought I was going to do there. But like I like, and that's something that I keep in mind now is like just being like, okay, like live it up in the way that you regret not living it up then.
for sure.
Okay.
For sure. You're already dropping quotes, and I haven't even made it there to talk
Bro, I
about
talk
mental
in
health.
quotes. I'm telling you.
No, you do. You really, really do.
I don't
We're
know
gonna
why. I
get
get it from
there.
my dad, though, to be honest. My dad does that.
I mean, you're a teacher, and
Yeah, my dad's a teacher too. Yeah,
you have lived a life, and you're just speaking your truth. So
that is
I can't
true.
believe I just said it, but yeah, that's what you're doing.
It's true.
So what was that shoot? Well, my first question is, I've tried to find the answer to this, but I couldn't. What is
Mhm.
your fascination with nature and wildlife?
Um, I think my fascination with nature and wildlife is its beauty and its ability to awe someone so effortlessly, the same way a city can. I think there's
Mhm.
just this really like interesting I mean they seem so opposite, a city and nature, but they're so similar in so many ways. The way that composition sits in certain trees and buildings, and the way that horizons sit with certain landscapes, and I would see these things that like connected compositionally, and I just felt like that it just made sense to like put them together. I mean, I
For
even
sure.
reference like, I mean, I look at my background and I'm sure people can't, they may not be able to see what I'm referencing right now, but we can. But I've got my one of my
Yeah.
prints on my wall, and it's just the skyline of Chicago with a horizon of a beach and some water
Hmm.
and a sunrise. And for me, when I was looking at both of those photos, they both had the sunrise or this like, the sun that was coming down and this horizon. And I was like, okay, well, they've got this really, beautiful
Similar
matching,
thing. Yeah.
similar, composition that I had to just meld together. And that was how a lot of my different perspectives came together, was just seeing the dichotomy in that way.
Um, the 9-year-old Swopes, when she used to design on KidPics, did you
Mhm.
draw sunsets in nature, or what were you designing back when you were 9?
Man, when I was in 9, I was was probably editing, and this is a very, I mean, this is a great question because I don't think anyone has ever asked me this. I was creating a lot of buildings, a lot of like neighborhoods, a lot of like it's uh, I don't know, just a lot of
Yeah.
paintings like of
Okay.
scenes of like because a lot of the tools that you had in KidPics were like letters or like buildings or like shapes or like people or like animals, right?
Mm-hmm.
And and this is why I'm like almost stumbling over my words a little bit because I've never been asked this question, and I think that there is a lot of similarities to what I do now with how that was, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I'm really thinking about it, I mean, they had like these like trees with like these houses, and I remember like a little butterfly, and then every time you would press like letters, it would like make these noises. And I think I just kind of like would record scenes too. Like you could record video in KidPics, by the way. And I would record
Okay.
myself like doing sounds with different movements of different trees and buildings and like paint filling in different ways. And it was really like a surrealist playground for like children.
Yeah.
Um, and I wish, I mean, if I could go back now, I'd be like, Mother, save these things, please, for the love of God. We have like
Yeah.
no photos of me at the damn computer. We have nothing, no proof of my existence, but whatever, it happens. But like, it's just like insane the way that I think about it now, how much I really was kind of doing the same kind of thing, I think. And also compositing images. Eventually I went into designing my own website. And on that website, I had like this forum where other people could create and do contests. And I would use um, like different photos of like celebrities or like textures or like skylines or something like that to create these really interesting like fan websites or like fan graphics and stuff like that. And then I eventually started designing websites for friends for their like branding for their music and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean that that beginning process though as a kid was definitely inspired by what I had.
Mm.
I really didn't have much except for the computer and maybe paints and stuff like that that my parents would get me. But I think I was mostly inspired by the computer because I didn't have to ask for more. I really didn't like
Yeah.
asking for more. I think I liked the unlimited capability of like hitting reset and saving the file and doing whatever I wanted with it at any time. And
Yeah.
that's something I still am very obsessed with to this day.
That's a great story. And you said you didn't have much. I used to
Mhm.
draw the birds and encyclopedias when I was a kid. And I think we had a computer, but I just was so fascinated about all the colors and their eggs. And I would just sit there and I wish my parents kept those too. But it's amazing how what you did then kind of foreshadowed what you're doing now. And
Right.
you've done partnerships with Adobe, with Apple, with Flern, and you're literally just doing what you love now then.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that's so cool that you were able to blend those two worlds together. But
Still
then
don't know how, I'm gonna be honest with you, but I mean I do and I don't. Like I just kept doing what I wanted to do.
okay.
Honestly, that's it. And I failed so many times. I like dropped out of college. I really felt like I was not making the right decisions for so long, but I think all of those wrong decisions made me like just realize that there is no right way to any of this stuff. You just got to keep like going.
Quotes. Here we go. We're still going
Quotes,
with the quotes.
quotes.
Um, but you always talk about living in the moment and
Hmm.
your childhood. So I know with me, I was more creative before I started. Before I went to high school, I was super creative. You started getting into
Hmm.
games, and I think you still love playing The Sims.
Yeah.
Did do you remember the games you used to play when you were younger? And did you ever want to create your own games?
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, I would love to create my own game. Um, but it's not really so much a dream versus um like what I do now, you know. I mean, I guess when I think about like when I have like a goal list on my wall, and making a game is not on there, but if one day
Okay.
that happens, I'm not mad at
Okay.
it. But
Yeah.
I started playing games. Man, I've been playing games since I was a child. I've been playing games since I can remember. I mean, my because I grew up with a younger brother. He was 2 years younger than
Hmm.
me. Still is 2 years younger than me. And and so he was always playing like Resident Evil, or I don't know, just like SSX, like sticky, we were playing like all the
Hmm.
the the all the games that came for free, like Rat-a-tat the Rapper, whatever, like I can't remember his
Yes. Yes.
name.
Rayman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all the ones,
Papa the
all the
Rapper,
games.
whatever's the dog.
Parappa the Rapper. Yes.
Yeah.
We were playing that nonstop. Uh I mean, honestly, I think I also I mean, I was just obsessed with the computer though. I
Yeah.
loved playing The Sims, from the first Sims on every Sims, from the Sims Online that they canceled. Um I had just loved the control of that, because I mean, I grew up in a house with divorced parents. I felt like, well, also, I mean, my parents were young when they had us. They were 19. My mom was 19, and my dad, just as young, and I really didn't have a lot of uh like money or opportunity to travel, or I don't know, just have a lot of things to necessarily do besides being at the house. And when we had an opportunity to
Hmm.
have a computer, I was like, I felt like I had access to the world. Like
Yeah.
I could see everything, I could do everything, I could talk to everybody without feeling like limited. And that was something that I loved about The Sims, that I loved about being on
Hmm.
the internet, that I loved about making websites. And just being online is like just being able to have access, and I think that The Sims is like a part of that mentality to
Yeah.
me. Like I like playing
Yeah.
Resident Evil, for
Yeah.
certain different reasons, but like The Sims is like I get to sit down
Your
and
ghost.
have fun
Yeah.
and make a life and have, it's cool, it's fun.
Absolutely. And you I'm loving the fact that you're not in a box. You're doing
Mhm.
everything.
Mhm.
And I discovered your podcast, Swope So Dope.
Mhm.
First off, I agree with you. I mean, I agree with your friends. The first when I hit play, I'm like, her voice is really soothing. Like what you're talking about mental health and police reform and just stress,
Yeah.
NFTs and just happiness, relationships. And it
Mhm.
sounds, I'm like, oh, this is natural for her. This is, but I know that you've been in the quarantine, you've been trying to work on being a stronger singer, but
Mm.
for your podcast, I think on the fourth or fifth episode, you had a different intro. It was a young person rapping. Is that you?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's me. Every single
It's
podcast has me as the intro.
but you were like really rapping though. Like you hit a
Yes.
pocket, and I'm like, oh, she can rap
I
now too.
was
Add that to the
definitely
list.
rapping for sure. I yeah, that's a lot to unpack there. Yes, the podcast,
Sorry.
honestly, no, it's, don't be sorry. I just want to make sure that I touch on everything. The podcast, at first, I know I sound pretty confident with it now, but at first I was terrified. I had to like drink a glass of wine or two to like soothe my nerves and my anxiety. But I think at
Mhm.
that time I just knew that like I was putting myself in a position to grow through something. I was
Yeah.
studying so much when I started that podcast about how to grow as a person, and how to like just like be more trusting in my path and my vision for myself. And that podcast was like a product of that. Like you could kind of even hear and feel like through each like step or each episode really of how my confidence would change and what I would talk about. And Yeah, I mean, I love it because it's kind of like a diary a little bit on what
Hmm.
I'm learning and what I'm going through. And as much as I'd love that people can relate to it, I really do learn a lot myself every time I study a topic, every time I talk about a topic, every time I record a podcast. I feel so much more confident and able to like say what I want and tell other people that they can
Yeah,
say what they want. Like, who cares? Like, talk. You're just yourself. Like, that's it.
absolutely.
Like, I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm very special in a way. And I'm not saying to toot my own horn, but I'm also like such a ham. I have no nerves whatsoever on a lot of things. But I do hope that people do understand that, the way that I talk now or the way that I'm confident now is not the way that I always have been. And for that, like I've talked about, I mean, that's something I keep in mind and remember about growing and trusting myself and my vision is like, if I could change from then, I could change from now. And I'm ready. I'm looking forward to life. Every day is exciting because I can't wait to see how much more I can keep learning and growing.
Yes, and you hit it on the head. I feel like Twitter's your diary, and the podcast is you. It's a therapy session between you and the viewers. I know that you're talking about anxiety, and this is Mental Health Awareness Month, and you're
Mhm.
talking about your growth and being confident. You have a bunch of quotes as you've already given me. You said practice trust within yourself,
Yeah.
and I feel like you're living that. You decided one day, I think in 2017 or 2018, that
Hmm.
on Twitter you were going to do daily reminders and wake up at 5 in the morning to
Yes.
just meditate. How can you walk me through the process of how you got there and the growth that you've seen since you started doing that?
Yeah, that was a very conscious decision because I felt like I was just stuck in a very negative rut. I was judgmental. I felt depressed and anxiety ridden and just like misdirected in a way, in so many ways. And so I just felt like embarrassed too, like regretful. I don't know, like
Mm-hmm.
every like
Every
weird
emotion.
feeling you could feel like I felt every day,
Yeah.
all the time. And I was like, how can I stop? Like, what is the process? And you know what I did? I immediately stopped blaming other people for my problems, which I had always
Mm-hmm.
felt like I was doing. And I decided instead of like saying I didn't have time, I was going to make time and make the
Mm-hmm.
time to do what I needed to do. So then I decided, okay, in that time, what did I want to do? Like, what's the person that I wanted to be? And so I started reading books about like ways to just like feel less anxiety or to be, I don't know, like anything
Mm-hmm.
that I needed to learn. I just looked up a book and I read a book about it. And then um, through those books, I started realizing that like, meditation was something that so many people were just talking about and from every type of like thing. Like, I mean, you could be a Buddhist or a top business person. Like, there was a system in play that humans have been using for time and time again for so long that has been working. I was okay. Well, let me just try that
Mm-hmm.
out. So tried that out, shifted everything for me, and then after that. I ended up kind of like, I don't know, looking in the mirror and being like, I don't really feel good. Like, the way that I don't feel healthy. I felt like I wasn't drinking enough water. I felt like my skin felt weird. I felt like I wasn't glowing the way that I like to glow. I felt like my hair was just like certain ways. Like, even though I probably look pretty jacked up right now, I don't really care because that's the way I look every day when I'm not getting ready. But like, other than that, I feel so good inside and on my skin by like doing yoga
Yeah.
and like drinking
Yeah.
better. I stopped eating meat 4 years ago. And not to say everybody else has to do that, but that was just something my body was rejecting. Like, when I would eat meat, I felt grossed out. Like, and that's just something I had to trust, like, in me, and I had to let it go, And I was, and that type of stuff was like the certain things that I was like, okay, I need to be more mindful and aware and present in every single moment because my body is sending me messages and I am clearly not listening. I'm trying to find the messages outside of myself when everything I need is already here.
Yes.
And so 5 a.m. started, it was very difficult at first. I'm not going to lie. I mean, there was times I just like felt so tired, obviously, like what's the point, whatever, but I realized that I had to remember the outcome.
Yeah.
Not that I knew it, but I just had to trust the outcome. I had to trust in what everybody else was saying. And
Hmm.
everybody else was people who actually showed that there was change, who wrote books
Yeah.
about it, who lived the life, who, made sense of it. And that was something that I think was my first step, was just trusting them, but also trusting myself to be able to do that. So I study like biology a lot, how people think, how my body works, how anxiety works, why anxiety is, why depression is. And then I started thinking a little bit less like Western about it, a lot more like Eastern, more like
Yeah.
holistic, and a lot more like, what is the energy? What am I like, really getting down to like the humble, honest,
Hmm.
like deep rooted stuff. Like it wasn't like, let's take a pill and let's be happy. Like that's
Right.
done. That's over, because that never
Hmm.
worked out for me. Taking a pill always ruined everything. Everything. It's the easy way, and not for everybody, of course, but for me, it
Yes.
was. And so I had to decide what responsibilities I wanted to take. How did I want to be accountable with my life? And I started being accountable, and everything shifted. And that morning time was my accountability time. It was my decision time, where I made the decision to read what I wanted, that was going to help me, that actually gave me a reward in the first place. You have to read stuff that you want to read, or you're not going to want
Hmm.
to wake up and do it. And you have to listen to like, meditations that make sense to what you're trying to do. Don't just listen to like a random one because it's popular, whatever. Like you have to
Hmm.
have something that makes sense and connects to you. And then I would write also. You were talking about the writing. So that writing started because I was reading so much about how affirmations were really helpful, but I didn't like all the affirmations I was reading online. They were very corny and
Yeah.
just very like indirect. They weren't like telling me what I wanted to hear, but they were also saying the wrong thing. And I was like, I don't like these. I'm going to shift it and make it my way. And so that's when I
Yep.
started writing them. And the more I wrote them, the more they like stuck to me in the day. Like the more I was like, oh, well, I'm keeping that in mind all day. And it like really actually like started changing things.
Yeah.
And then I started realizing everybody else around me started changing because of that a little bit, which I think made it even more worth it, because seeing other people change around you because you're changing is like a different type of like
Hmm.
happiness. It's a different type
Yeah.
of peace.
Yes.
Because then you're kind of
Absolutely.
like, oh shit, maybe I was not so much the reason behind a lot of my problems, but like I didn't realize that I had this much power to like make everything good by just making sure I was good. So that's a long-winded answer to all that, but I
No,
love my
that
mornings.
was
I'm obsessed. They're everything to
no.
me.
I enjoy. I get on Twitter closer to mid afternoon. I mean mid
Mhm.
morning, but I
Mhm.
always go to your page and scroll to see what you were saying.
Mhm.
And I love the self discovery.
Mhm.
And if you change one thing by drinking more water, by taking out meat. I became pescatarian 4 or 5 years ago, and your
Nice.
energy changes, and you see how
Mhm.
everything is connected. Having adopted a more holistic lifestyle, it changes everything. And that energy in you starts to be refreshed, and you seem happier, and it's contagious.
Absolutely.
So, and when I see your tweets, I'm like, yo, she's really, yes, I'll go on Pinterest too and look up different mantras and affirmations. And I'm like, yeah, consistency is key. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I need something
Right.
that's specific to me. And
Right.
you said we have to remind ourselves as much as we can to be the people we want to be. I'm
Mhm.
like, that hit me
Mhm.
because you can be on this journey and you may not see the evolution, but
Right.
over time, your skin, the company you keep, the work that you put out, it starts to feel, it makes you happier.
Right. Right.
And I'm happy for you that you're continuing on this journey and that you overcame that time where you
Thank
weren't the
you.
happiest. It's
Thank you.
it's really, really refreshing, and I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
But
I'm happy for you
sometimes,
too.
thank you. Sometimes your happiness. I don't know if this was during that journey. Well, we're still on the journey now. You
Mm.
did the coolest Tony the Tiger commercial,
Yeah.
and you ran through the streets of downtown and wherever
That
you
was
were.
nuts.
It looked fun. Do you
Yeah, it
remember
was so
that?
much fun. Yeah, I remember everything I do. I have the
Okay.
best memory in the world. And
I,
unfortunately, it's good and it's bad.
yeah.
Because I'll be
Did
remembering everything about everybody. I'm like, I remember what they
I
said. I remember what they did.
mine comes mine comes when I'm trying to go to sleep. Hey, remember they said that about you in second grade? You're like, bro, go to sleep.
That's
That
so
was so
funny.
that was so long
It's me
ago.
like all day. Again, people, well, I'm sure you see on my Twitter how I tweet. I'll talk about one thing for 1 second, and the next second, I'm talking about something completely different. My mind is racing.
But you're honest, and this
That is
interview
true.
has continued to show me just how honest you are. And I love it because
Thanks.
it makes people realize I'm not by myself.
Mm-mm.
Somebody may be going
No,
through the same thing. It may not be the exact same thing, but
right.
its similarities like, oh, well, that person gave up meat and they started feeling better. Maybe I should give up meat. Now I'm feeling
Mm-hmm.
better. That
Right.
person, your story is helping and is continuing to help more and more people than you know.
I try
So
to live as
thank
an
you.
example, you know?
Yes. And
I
I
don't,
love it.
people used to, when I was growing up, people used to be like, do as I say, not as I do. And I'd be like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? And that's not the
Yeah.
way to live. Like, I want to tell
Yeah.
people what to do, not to say what I want to tell them what to do, but I want to do what I do and preach it if I'm going to. Like, I don't, and I refrain from preaching mostly. But
Yeah.
I think my preach is the example that I live. Like, I am a walking person of example of
Yes.
success of my story. Like, I have actually struggled and failed tremendously, and I am actually at peace. Like, let's go. I got secrets to give. Listen.
And one of them was another gem, and I love this one too.
Mhm.
Stop overthinking it.
Bro.
When you just be like, do the interview, Swopes accepted the invitation, do your just do your job. It calms those nerves and that anxiety
Yes.
down, and you realize I'm talking to another human. We can have a
Mm-hmm.
conversation.
Just be present, it's the presence of it all. At least for me. I mean, I used to overthink everything. And I'm actually reading a book right now. There's a yeah, there's two different types of mindsets that we have, and different types of thought processing that we can do, is the analytical or the
Mhm.
free flowing. And the analytical is a lot more for trying to problem solve with things that we have a quick answer for. Whether we can answer it in 5 seconds or 5 minutes, that's the difference. But the free flowing is really just about conversation and presence and creativity and acceptance of oneself. And most of us are living in this analytical mode and all the time, which gives us this flight or flight anxiety, fear of kind of
Mhm.
existing all the time, because we're always finding and looking for answers that aren't there, that we don't have the information for. So when I finally I can't wait to start school again for psychology, because it's going to be so damn exciting, because I love it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so cool to learn, because I use myself as a test subject, most importantly. But I really do. But
Yeah.
I get so excited about reading stuff like that, because like that's the answer. Like, if I'm overthinking, I'm like, nah. And then I just move on. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
None of it's real. It doesn't even matter.
Fuck up more.
you
You
know?
said that. Just fuck up more.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna make mistakes. It's gonna be
Yeah.
messy at times,
Don't be
but
afraid to be shitty.
you're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna trip. You're gonna trip. I know the quarantine, you had plans before quarantine, but when it hit, you were stuck in the house like
Mm,
everybody else.
yes.
Did you perfect your macaroni and cheese recipe?
No, not really. Fortunately
Ah,
not. I've done a few like vegan ones so far that have been really good. There was like this kale like vegan jalapeno one that was like really really good with like a curly like pesto like a farfalle or something. I don't know what the it's like a
yeah.
pesto something. But it was delicious. So that was pretty fire, but like as far as like the actual like good like Thanksgiving type one, nah. I'm not there right
It
now. I'm
is
too
so
vegan for that
hard.
life. It sucks.
It is so hard finding a vegan cheese that tastes good.
Because they want you to put all the like that. What's that stuff they was talking about putting in there?
Seitan,
Yeah, maybe yeah, maybe seitan. It's like this like
seitan.
yeah. It's also like some kind of like dusty stuff they put in there. It's called like I can't even remember right now, but it's
It
in
doesn't
every
taste
single
good.
one. And I don't really like it. I'm gonna have to look this up because it's always in every vegan mac and cheese, and they always have it in the nutritional yeast. That's what it is.
That's what
You know what I'm
it
talking
is.
about?
I know
What
what you're
is
talking
that
about.
shit?
I don't. I don't know. I
What
don't
is
know.
the nutritional yeast and why is it in everything vegan?
I
I
broke my
don't like the
mother's
way it
heart
looks.
when I told her I'm not consuming dairy products like that anymore. And
Bro, ain't nobody doing that.
she came up to me, she was like, Emmanuel, so you're not gonna eat my mac and cheese anymore? I'm
No, we
like,
gonna eat that.
I mean, I'm gonna mentally prepare for what's gonna happen after, but I am gonna enjoy just a small serving of your
Yes.
mac and cheese because some things that they don't have the vegan vegetarian replacement for
Mm-mm.
that. No,
Mm-mm.
it's not
Well,
gonna work out.
that's one thing I always try to accept about what I'm trying to accomplish with like my vegetarianism or veganism or whatever. It's like I'm just trying my best to um enjoy life and to feel
Hmm.
good, and I don't want to be it somewhere and like judging someone's food or like judging someone or like saying, oh, I don't eat that, like that, like being kind of elitist about it. I always wanted to
Yeah.
make sure that I was being very kind and very um generous about the way I communicated about it, because if I'm going to be an example as someone who's a vegetarian or vegan, I want to be a good person, and that person will want to be that good person one day, maybe, as a vegetarian. So if I see somebody eating bacon, I'm like, damn, that looks good, lucky you. Like if I see someone eating something, I'm just like, wow, it looks great. Like I'm going to be honest, it looks great, that's fine.
And it bacon is so tough. I'm going to the gym in the morning. I go to the gym in the morning, and
Yeah.
it's a breakfast spot, Original Pancake House, right down the
Oof,
street.
that's the
I
best
get out
one.
the car and I smell the
Damn.
bacon hits me, and I'm like,
Uh, that's the best bacon. They got the
ah.
best bacon there too. They have the
I like
best.
I like bacon and eggs in Lincoln Park. They give you
Mm,
they
they
give you a
do.
flight of bacon,
They got the different
and
flavors too.
they have the different flavors, and I'm like,
Yes.
man,
Oh, I remember those. I remember the flight there.
I it hurts.
I know. That's how you live
But
in memory. I live through memory. I swear.
and you said listen to your body. I know
Mhm.
that if I were to eat pork,
Oh,
it's gonna
oof.
it's gonna be bad. It's gonna
I
be
can't. That's why I stopped eating fish though, because I couldn't do shrimp anymore. Shrimp was like blowing
really.
me up. Yeah, my stomach was like just like puffed, big puff.
I
Messed
still
me
I still
up.
I still eat seafood here and there. Well, that's I still eat seafood.
Mm,
Chicken when I feel like it. I get it. I
mm.
get joked
I
on.
miss
If
wings.
so, here's the thing. I had some chicken wings
Mhm.
recently, and I posted it on Instagram, and people were like, "I thought you was vegan. What happened?" And I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. I wanted to support Black businesses, so I ate the chicken. Yeah, someone canceled out, but but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
immediately after that, the rest of the day, I was sick.
Oh, damn, I
Like
bet. Mm.
it was good going down. Well, no, I won't even say it
Mhm.
was good going down. It it smelled really, really good,
Right.
but because my body isn't used to it, I reintroduced it and it said, nah, fam.
Right. That's why I just couldn't even cheat. I couldn't even cheat to eat because I feel like I would be breaking my stomach's heart.
And it'll let you know in more
It will
ways than
know.
one.
Yes, exactly. I'm never playing with
Like, you mean
that.
you had chicken today? I could tell.
Bet.
I could
Bet.
tell. I could tell. You also, and just from the outside looking in, you are the master of partnering with the best brands and doing these cool collabs. You did some patches with McDonald's for Complex
Mm-hmm.
Con. I've said it earlier, you work with Adobe all the time.
Mm-hmm.
How did you develop these relationships with these brands?
Honestly, I have no idea. I just get emails in my inbox and they be like, hey, we saw you on Instagram. I really like your
Yeah.
work. Let's work together. And I think what happens is I do good work in that first, partnership or even, and not so much like through those exact brands, because sometimes with a lot of these brand partnerships, they're uh, through an agency, and a lot of these
Okay.
agencies run a lot of different brands. And so
Okay.
if you do a good job with one agency, you may be on edge to do a lot of different brand partnerships with different brands through that agency. Um, so I think I've managed to make great relationships, luckily, just by being a good person. In some ways, I mean, of course, I've failed quite a bit in my communication or my ideas or I don't know, like, I mean, there's been so much to learn through business of these 10
Hmm.
years, 10, 11 years that like, I can't say that like, I was like, yeah, I did the right thing every time. Like, I feel bad sometimes the way I think about like when I was so, oh my God, when I used to have like no money and I would have to like beg certain people from certain agencies to be like, yo, please, like, can you like push this payment forward? Like, I like can't pay my rent. I know you have like net 30, net 60, but can you like,
Yeah.
please like tell someone to help me? And I'd be like in their
Please.
inbox, like, help, 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 like crazy stuff, And it's like, I'm sure they thought I was nuts and like I had the horrible money issues, which is totally fine because we all do.
Yeah.
But sometimes I like feel this like inner like weird or regret that like there's people out there who knew me at these very difficult points and saw me in survival mode, but they haven't really came back around and seen me in the new place that I am from those lessons so
Okay.
sometimes I think as any creative feels in regret, and that's why I talk about that a lot, is like sometimes we feel like we may have messed up or we failed or didn't do this, but it's like you come back around and like there's a lot more opportunity out there and there's a lot more money and a lot more um things to be done versus what hasn't worked out. So I'm like grateful for all of those things for sure.
And you, I'm hoping that they watch this or somebody from that company checks in on you and be like, hey, we saw your interview on Homegrown. Let's work together again. And I'm hoping that it bears better fruit than it did before. But
Mm.
originally, so you wear many hats and you do a lot of things. So
Hmm.
you're a rapper. You're about to be released. You're going to be a singer, but you originally
I
wanted to
don't know where are
be
you getting the singer information from. I'd
you.
love to know.
You you said I think you said on one of your podcasts you were developing your voice.
I did. I actually went to a singing lesson, but at the same time, I'm probably not going to do anything with it.
Oh,
Like, I'm also teaching myself guitar. I might not do anything with it.
I was just reaching. I was like,
Okay, good.
make sure
Thank
she
you.
knows
I'm
that
just
she's a singer.
saying. Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure.
Well, thank you for holding me
See
accountable.
how humble I am over here? I'd be like, nope.
I didn't do that. I don't do that. But you did want to be a host of
Mhm.
TRL.
Oh my God, yes. I went to school for that. That was like my dream.
Do you ever look at some of those shows like 106 in Park, or I guess none of them are around now? Did you ever see yourself like, I could do that and do it better?
Yeah, still do.
Yeah.
I still see stuff like that to this day. But you know what the difference is? Is it's crazy. Like a few years ago, I wanted to still do stuff like that. But now I
Uh-huh.
think about it, I'm like, I don't want to do nothing like that. That stuff is so hard, so annoying. You don't even get paid. You hardly get paid. I'm not doing none of that. I'm the artist, bro. That's the hard part. People used to ask me to go on tour with them, and I'd be like, I don't want to go on tour. The next time I go on tour, it's because it's my tour. And I would say no all the time. I swear.
What do they want you to bring them out or do their merch? What do they want you to do?
Photography. I'm a photographer.
Oh, just right. Yeah. Oh, I thought it was you wearing your.
I know.
hats.
I do everything. I know. I do so much.
I mean, but you're good at it.
I know.
And you said you're humble, but you really are good at it.
You're right. Thanks.
I'm surprised I haven't seen much merch or anything else coming out.
Oh,
I mean, your
because
podcast
it's because it's so, there's just so much to do. And I am in the process right now of putting together my own creative agency because I cannot do everything. And there's a lot more out there to be done.
Well, let me know when it's up and running. And
I will.
I will try to be your first. Because it's when you're first starting off, it gets a little frustrating because you have to do everything versus 5-10 years down the line when you actually have a team and you can literally just focus on the art. And I think that's where a lot of creatives get discouraged because they know how to take pictures, but they don't know how to sell the pictures. And that's because that's a whole nother world, different language.
Well, selling your picture, all it takes is just posting it on Instagram, posting it somewhere, share yourself.
Some people aren't good at, and I'm speaking to myself now. Some people aren't good at having a social, what do I want to say? They're not good at communicating on social media. Like I have to really
when I first started posting on Instagram, I would never even put like a sentence on my caption. I would just put emojis for years.
And people had to figure it out. Or
yeah, they just, that was me. That's what I did. Who cares? That's my caption. That's what I felt. I felt an emoji for what I saw, and then I put it. I'm just telling you, man, there's no rules to this shit. You can do whatever the fuck you want. Share.
Okay. So when I post this episode, I'm gonna put emojis. And
I wouldn't do all that. Maybe if you would, if that's your style and if that's what you've been doing, then yes. But if it's new and it's random, be careful.
So what you're saying is be yourself, don't try to do anything new.
Yes. Don't do anything that's like too shocking. Okay. People are going to be like, what's going on?
What's up with the giraffes? This is the episode. That's all you're going to tell us? It's the giraffes. Y'all get it, right? What have you, this is a silly question. Have you done any work with Lincoln Park Zoo or Brookfield Zoo?
No, I don't like zoos.
Thank you. They're kind of bad.
They make me uncomfortable. Every time I see the giraffe in there, it's like pacing around. It makes me feel weird. But I'm actually in talks with somebody from a Somali giraffe conservation in Kenya. So we'll see what happens there.
Well, good luck with that. I feel like you too. I love birds, and seeing a bald eagle just like I can't do what I was born to do. I'm just here. Yeah. But thank you for sharing your stories.
Of course. Thank you for asking things. And for sharing your stories as well.
How long do you think are you going to continue to do the Swoops So Dope podcast?
The podcast, I don't know. Honestly, I think I'm about to take a break. I think I have one podcast that I gotta share tomorrow with my friend Liz, who she is something else. She is so crazy, but she's amazing in the best way. And so that'll be one of my last podcasts for probably, I don't know, a couple months at least, because I'm like really not in the mood right now to keep talking all the time.
well, thank you for this.
Of course. I would rather talk on other people's because I feel like I've been getting a lot more interviews, and I also have been paying people to like edit it, and I'll be honest, there's only so many things I could talk about. I mean, I'm sure you've seen, I mean, my podcast, I've talked about so much. I have so many different topics, and
Yeah.
I think I've given enough, and people can catch up if they haven't. And if they have, then, maybe listen back again. I don't know, but I just need to take a mental break and focus on some other stuff that I would like to accomplish right now.
You just did you got it was something with Mac with Apple. You were looking at the
Yeah.
new iMac. How
Mm-hmm.
how was how was that? Because I'm
It's
thinking about
nice. It's
getting one.
nice. They
It's
gave
nice.
me the new MacBook Pro too, and I have this iPad too. They gave me an iPad and a MacBook Pro. They didn't give me the actual iMac because I just got a new iMac Pro. So they were
Mhm.
like, we're not gonna do that. But they gave me the iPad and with the M1 chip in it, and the MacBook with the M1 chip, and it seems a lot faster. Holy moly. There was only so much I could do, like actually playing with the colored the iMac color, because I was just trying to shoot like content in the rooms.
Yeah.
And also uh the sound was really good though on them. I remember that for sure.
I was, I was going to ask you that. Are you ever going to get to a point where you review products like Canon cameras, lenses? I know you work
Mm-mm.
with no, no.
No, people ask me to do that all the time. I just don't. If the only way I would do that is if someone recorded it for me. Otherwise I'm
Okay,
not going to do it. I don't have the time, and it's not on my like end goal list,
it's
to
not
be
on your
honest.
board.
It's not on my board, man. Like on my board, you want to know what's on my board? I'll like read you exactly what's on the list right now. And it changes quite often. This changes like every 2-3 months. The long term right now is okay. This is like physical. I mean, it's like,
Wow,
see, it's like
you
pretty
wrote on
extent.
you wrote
Yeah.
on paper.
Oh, I write on paper. Oh, I write. It's not a game over
Oh,
here.
okay,
That's how you get
okay.
shit done. I'm just telling you, get a pencil and a piece of paper and you will get things done. Okay. So my long term is get my doctorate. Okay. Sell books about purpose, self-healing, speaking, and creativity.
I can
Own
see that.
multiple homes with land. Own an agency. That's my creative agency. Sell my art for millions. Speak on animal rights. Speak on human rights. Own a metaverse agency, start acting, make music, and be in movies and make movies, and travel the world. Ooh,
Boom.
that's my long term right now.
Oh,
And you know what
oh,
I do with that stuff? So I
mhm.
break it down into actual tangible things. So that's my long term vision right now. And so after I have the long term, I'll break it down. So my doctorate, I'll be like, get my master's degree in psychology, because that's the first
Yeah,
step to doing that.
yeah.
And then I'll talk about like this book that I'm working on right now personally. So I'm putting together my own little planner that will help other people find their purpose. And that's my first book that I'll sell. So hopefully that'll, be and introduce me to more opportunities and things like
Hmm.
that. Like I'll just kind of break stuff down to even like like even more like broken down tangible things. So that helps with my direction and my purpose a lot.
All of that stuff is obtainable, and I know you
Yeah.
will definitely achieve all of that.
Be nice.
You've traveled. You're pretty well traveled though already.
Mm-hmm.
But
I
what
need
other
to go
places
more.
do
I
you?
want to go to Thailand. I want to go to like China. I haven't been to China. I haven't been to Africa. I
Okay.
haven't been to Italy. I haven't been to Greece. I haven't been to um I haven't been to a lot of places. Yeah, I got a long list.
Okay, okay, we got more passports. I mean, more stamps on our passports.
Yes. Yes. I was just looking at
Um,
my passport
thank.
down there. It's on the floor.
The last thing I want to talk about is Urban Jungle.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cool app that you created. It's
Thanks.
tons of giraffes that you can choose from, whales and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot, and you
Mm-hmm.
already provide the picture. I just wanted to say that app is really, really cool.
Thank
I've
you.
used it, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, that's a really nice picture. It forces you to do what you did when you were 9 and put
Yeah.
it try to put the things in like, oh, if I put a giraffe coming out of this building, who would have thought that? Boom.
Exactly. Just to have
It's
some fun and to have it be simplified so you don't have to overthink it. It's
yeah,
just look at what's there and how can you place it.
correct. Correct.
It's
I
definitely my baby. I really like it. I'm proud of it. I will say it is I'm curious on what other things it's going to open up for me, because I think a lot of people are so like surprised that I actually did it and I jumped for it. And
really
with so many other brands and agencies wanting to work with me, that I created my own. And so I'm curious on who's going to want to buy us out at some point. That's my goal.
it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
It's, it's
that'd be
gonna
nice.
happen. That was it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so
Um,
much.
Thank you for watching. That was another episode of Homegrown the series. I'm your host, Emmanuel Davis. Swopes, appreciate all the stories and the life lessons. And I know that you're going to
Mhm.
achieve all of that stuff that's on your vision board.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. You too.
Peace.
Peace.